The Philippines is a nation known for its resilience, a country where communities have long weathered storms, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions with unwavering determination. Time and again, the Filipino people have shown the world their ability to rise above adversity, drawing strength from their deep sense of community and hope. But in late 2025, that legendary strength was tested like never before, as the country faced a disaster of unprecedented scale and ferocity. Typhoons Tino and Uwan struck in quick succession, unleashing destructive winds and torrential rains that battered the archipelago from north to south. The storms arrived with little warning, catching many off guard and leaving little time to prepare. These storms weren't just weather events, they were catastrophic forces of nature, flattening entire neighborhoods, washing away roads and bridges, and plunging towns into darkness as power lines fell and communication networks collapsed. Millions were affected overnight, families lost homes, farmers lost crops that represented their entire year's livelihood, and daily life was thrown into chaos. Schools and businesses closed, and entire communities were left isolated by floodwaters. Access to clean water, food, and medical care became critical issues. Relief supplies were slow to arrive in the hardest-hit areas, and many survivors waited anxiously for help, unsure when or if it would come. The aftermath was a landscape of loss and uncertainty, with survivors struggling to rebuild from the rubble. Streets once filled with laughter and life were now silent, covered in mud and debris. Thousands fled to crowded evacuation centers, unsure of what the future held. These makeshift shelters, often schools or gymnasiums, quickly filled beyond capacity, forcing families to share cramped spaces and limited resources. The emotional toll was immense, but the Filipino spirit of bayanihan, communal unity, emerged stronger than ever. In the face of overwhelming loss, neighbors reached out to help one another, sharing what little they had and offering comfort and hope. Neighbors helped neighbors, but the needs quickly outpaced local resources. Relief goods ran low, and the sheer number of people in need made it difficult for local volunteers to keep up. The government launched a massive response, with emergency crews working tirelessly to rescue those trapped by floodwaters, clear debris from roads, and restore basic services. Helicopters and boats were deployed to reach remote villages, cut off by landslides and flooding. Yet, the scale of the disaster was overwhelming, and resources were stretched thin. Hospitals overflowed with the injured, and medical staff worked around the clock, often without enough supplies or electricity. The number of displaced families was staggering. Entire communities were forced to live in temporary tents, unsure when or if they would be able to return home. It became clear, the Philippines could not face the crisis alone. Government officials made urgent appeals for international aid, calling on the global community to help provide food, water, medicine, and rebuilding materials. The path to recovery would be long and difficult. Roads, bridges, and schools needed to be rebuilt from the ground up, and families faced the daunting task of reconstructing their lives from the ruins. International support was desperately needed to help heal the deep wounds left by Tino and Uwan. Planes loaded with relief goods began to arrive, bringing hope to communities that had lost everything. The world watched as the Filipino people faced adversity with courage and dignity. Their determination to rebuild inspired countless others to lend a helping hand. Their resilience inspired a global call to action. Volunteers from around the world joined local efforts, working side by side to distribute aid, clear debris, and offer comfort to those in need. The devastation was immense, but hope remained. Even in the darkest moments, children found ways to play, and families raised the Philippine flag as a symbol of unity and strength. The story of recovery was just beginning. Communities came together to clear debris, lay new foundations, and dream of a brighter future. The nation braced itself for the long journey ahead, knowing that rebuilding would take months, if not years. But with every act of kindness and every helping hand, hope grew stronger. And the world prepared to answer the call for help, standing in solidarity with the Philippines as it began the long road to recovery. When disaster strikes on this scale, the devastation can feel overwhelming, leaving entire communities in shock and despair. The sheer force of nature can wipe out years of progress in a matter of hours, and the aftermath is often marked by heartbreak and uncertainty. In these moments, no nation should stand alone. The challenges are simply too great for any one country to face by itself. The aftermath of Typhoons Tino and Uwan created a humanitarian crisis too large for one country to handle. Millions were suddenly left without homes, food, or clean water, and the need for urgent assistance was immediate and immense. Local resources were quickly depleted as millions needed food, water, and shelter. Shelters filled up rapidly, and supplies ran out faster than they could be replenished. International aid became essential, a lifeline for those who lost everything. Planes carrying food, medicine, and emergency supplies arrived from around the world, bringing hope to those in desperate need. Global support brought not just supplies, but hope and solidarity. The presence of international teams reminded survivors that they were not forgotten, and that the world stood with them in their darkest hour. Knowing the world cares can lift spirits in the darkest times. Acts of kindness and compassion from strangers across the globe can help families find the strength to carry on. International partnerships allow for a coordinated, effective response. By working together, countries can pool their resources, knowledge, and expertise to reach more people more quickly. Countries contribute financial aid, expertise, and specialized equipment. Engineers, doctors, and rescue teams from different nations bring unique skills that are vital for recovery. Disaster response teams share knowledge, making relief efforts faster and more efficient. Training local volunteers ensures that help reaches even the most remote communities. Without global support, recovery would be much slower and more difficult. Communities might struggle for years to rebuild, and many families could remain displaced indefinitely. International aid helps rebuild homes, schools, and hospitals. It restores vital infrastructure, allowing communities to heal and move forward. It ensures families don't remain in shelters for years and children return to school sooner. The return to normalcy is made possible by the generosity and commitment of the global community. Global solidarity is about shared humanity. When one part of our global family suffers, we all have a responsibility to help. It is a reminder that compassion knows no borders, and that together, we are stronger. The world's response to the Philippines crisis was a testament to this principle. Nations came together, setting aside differences to offer support and hope. Together, nations can turn tragedy into hope. By standing united, we can help communities not only survive, but thrive once again. In response to the devastating crisis that struck the Philippines, the United States and South Korea acted swiftly, pledging significant aid and mobilizing resources within hours of the disaster. The U.S., through its agency USAID, immediately committed $2.5 million to jumpstart urgent relief efforts, sending teams and supplies to the hardest-hit areas. South Korea also announced $1 million in humanitarian assistance, demonstrating deep solidarity and a strong sense of global responsibility. These swift and decisive actions reflected the enduring bonds and close partnership between the nations, united in their commitment to help those in need. The combined $3.5 million in aid provided a major boost to ongoing relief operations, enabling faster delivery of food, water, and medical supplies to affected communities. This crucial funding allowed humanitarian organizations to scale up their operations, reach more people in need, and address urgent challenges on the ground. Leaders from both countries expressed heartfelt condolences to the victims and their families, and shared messages of hope for a swift and resilient recovery. Their support was more than just financial. It was a powerful promise that the Filipino people were not alone in their darkest hour, and that the world stood with them. These international partnerships proved their value when it mattered most, fostering cooperation and unity in the face of adversity. The aid laid the foundation for the long and challenging process of rebuilding, offering hope and a path forward for communities determined to recover and rebuild their lives. The $3.5 million in aid is being directed to the most urgent needs. Emergency shelter kits and support for evacuation centers are top priorities. Clean water, sanitation, and hygiene supplies are being distributed to prevent disease. Logistics funding ensures food and essentials reach even the most remote areas. Relief packs, blankets, and cooking utensils help families survive the immediate aftermath. Psychosocial support is provided to help survivors cope with trauma. By focusing on shelter, water, sanitation, and logistics, the aid is making a real impact. Every dollar is helping families take the first steps toward recovery. The United States' support for the Philippines is part of a long tradition. After the Cebu earthquake, the U.S. was among the first to provide critical aid. Disaster teams assessed damage, and military aircraft delivered relief to hard-hit areas. Financial aid funded emergency shelter, clean water, and sanitation. This pattern of support extends to typhoons, volcanic eruptions, and floods. The U.S. consistently steps up, offering both funds and expertise. This partnership has forged a deep bond between the two nations. When disaster strikes, cooperation is swift and effective. Filipinos know they can count on American support in their darkest hours. This reliable partnership brings hope and security. The U.S.-Philippines alliance is one of the most enduring in Asia. Forged over a century, it's built on shared history, economic ties, and people-to-people connections. The Mutual Defense Treaty of 1951 laid the foundation, but the partnership now spans trade, investment, and culture. Millions of Filipinos and Filipino Americans strengthen this bond. Humanitarian aid is a natural extension of this relationship. The U.S. Embassy and USAID work year-round with local partners, not just during disasters. This ongoing engagement builds trust and enables rapid, tailored responses. U.S. support reassures Filipinos they have a steadfast partner. The alliance is a source of stability and hope in challenging times. Each crisis adds a new chapter to this story of friendship. South Korea's aid is delivered through the Philippine Red Cross, ensuring it reaches those most in need. The Red Cross's local network allows for rapid, effective response. Cash assistance empowers families to buy what they need, stimulating the local economy. Emergency medical services and psychosocial support help survivors recover. Some funds support long-term recovery, like training for safer construction and livelihood programs. The goal helps communities build back stronger and more resilient. This partnership is a model of international cooperation and trust. South Korea's approach is compassionate, practical, and impactful. Alongside financial aid, South Korea sent a heartfelt message of solidarity. The Korean ambassador expressed deep condolences and confidence in the Filipino spirit. This message, widely shared, reinforced the close bond between the nations. Many Koreans remember the Philippines' support during the Korean War, a debt never forgotten. Now South Korea extends a helping hand in return. Korean community groups in the Philippines also mobilized, organizing donations and volunteering. The message from Seoul was clear. The Philippines is not alone. South Korea stands with its friend, offering hope and unwavering support. The aftermath of Tino and Uwan is a stark reminder of nature's power, but also of human resilience. The rapid aid from the U.S. and South Korea shows the strength of international friendship. Their support provides both resources and hope for recovery. Collaboration between governments, local groups, and allies is turning despair into possibility. Investing in disaster preparedness and resilience is now more important than ever. By sharing knowledge and working together, nations can better face future storms. The story of this response is one of hope and unity. Together, the world is helping the Philippines rebuild dreams for a brighter, more resilient future.